it's Helen here with Helen with Helen. Thanks for joining me. I wanted to share a wild story with you guys. This is super crazy. In fact, it's so crazy that this has never ever happened to me in my 46 years of being alive. My friend and I are still laughing about it because it is so funny. So a week ago, my husband and I went to my absolute favorite fast food establishment around 4:30 in the afternoon. I noticed right away that it wasn't as busy as usual because this place usually is hopping around this time, but I didn't care. I figured we probably just missed the rush. So we go in, there's a handful of people like in front of us, and then there's only one person sitting at a table. Not paying attention to anything that's going on. I'm looking up at the menu, trying to decide what I'm having for dinner. And then I'm standing there and waiting and waiting and waiting. And then finally, one of the guys who was standing over by the cash register, he caught eye contact with me and he said, "Hey, I've been waiting here for 15 minutes. And I was like, "Oh, have you really?" And he's like, "Yeah, nobody's here." And I'm like, "Nobody's here?" I didn't even recognize that nobody was there. And what I mean by that is there was nobody at the register. There was nobody in the serving line. There was nobody cooking in the kitchen. So like nobody was there. And so we're like, okay, this is kind of strange. So we all kind of start bantering with one another, okay? So the guy in front of us, and all of a sudden now we have some people who have come in behind us and we're having to inform them like, hey, nobody's here. And these were a couple of people who actually run a restaurant here locally. And so they just wanted a change of pace, some different food. And so here we have this really nice, cool group of people trying to solve a mystery because now we're like, where is everybody? So after about another 15-20 minutes of just sitting there like, okay, maybe they just stepped out for a second, maybe they went and got a coffee really quick, where did they go? My husband, he used to be a fireman, so he goes into like, let's check this out mode, right? Because he's thinking maybe somebody's in the back room, maybe there's a medical emergency, maybe somebody's hurt. And so at first he's like, I'm gonna go in the back, and I'm like, no. And then we're all kind of like, okay. We're like, you do it, you go. So he goes in the back and he's just like, hello, is anybody here? Kind of just peeking around, just checking things out. My mind's going to worst case scenario. I'm like, oh, what's going on in back there? Are these people bound up? Is there a robber? I didn't know what's going on. And so he comes back and he's just like, there's absolutely no one back here. The only thing that I found is this set of keys. And so it was like this big set of keys that kind of look like car door openers and stuff. And so I was like, somebody left their keys. That's weird, right? And so at this point, you guys, I kid you not, we've got DoorDashers coming in and they're there to pick up people's food, like that's supposed to be delivered. The receipt thing on the counter that gets orders, that takes these like orders for DoorDashers, it's like piling up on the countertop. It's falling onto the floor. There's so many orders coming through and we're just like, oh, what is going on? So now we had to inform them like, hey guys, we don't know what's going on, but your orders are not going to be ready. Your customers are not getting the food. You may want to call and cancel. And they're like, well, we can't do that. It doesn't work like that. And I'm like, well, all right, well, we'll all just stay here and figure out what's going on then. So we went to the local little coffee shop next door and we're just like, hey, there's nobody there. Do you guys know anything that maybe happened? Are they in here having a cup of coffee? We may call the police. We don't know who to call. So the guy who was in front of us, the nice guy who had informed me that nobody had been there for 15 minutes, he knows the owner manager. So he starts calling him on the phone. Nobody answers, but he leaves a message. I know the guy on social media. I'm trying to look him up because we are friends, but he's not on social media anymore. So I'm like, I couldn't leave him a message. So I'm like, okay. We decide to call to the other store across town. Nobody's answering there either. So we leave this long, lengthy message just letting them know like, hey, we are at this store. There's absolutely nobody here. People are starting to pile up. Just wanted to let you guys know the situation. So there we go. We left a message. The phone is ringing off the hook, keep in mind. So now we're getting the phone. People are getting the phone. So it's like as if we are invested at this point. It's like we are one big team. It's like we all work there together. Like seriously. Now we're in about 45 minutes. The phone rings. get the phone, and they proceed to tell us that they have a manager coming from the other store, the staff, we can either stay there, we can leave, do whatever we want to do. So of course, we've already stayed there that long. We were all going to stay there to make sure that the store was safe. They got there, everything was good. The manager gets there, amazing, super, super professional, definitely a little sweaty, probably a little red because I'm sure stressed, comes in and just takes control. Her and the couple of employees that came with her. And so we are just, everybody's working together here. We're just kind of like pushing out like the Door Dashers. We're like, okay, get their orders first so they can get to their customers. And so we were a team, right? We were a big team here. But so we started asking her though, like, hey, what's going on? Like, what happened here? And she said that she had to write somebody up earlier that morning. Okay, so you already know where we're going with this. So that particular person didn't want to clean the bathrooms. They're a supervisor and they didn't feel like that was their job. However, she said the only thing that I was asking her to do was something that I had to do myself when I was in that position. And that was like, fill up the toiletries, the paper toweling, things like that, right? Okay, well anyways, this staff member did not want to do that, and apparently was very popular and took the team of employees with her. Like, they all quit. Okay, I feel like this could be borderline illegal. None of my business, but okay, if you want to quit, that's one thing. And if the whole staff wants to follow you out, great. I mean, not great, but you know what I mean. However, I would say, could you not at least lock the door, lock up, right? You don't just leave an establishment completely unlocked and completely open to the public. And then they all, those keys, the mysterious keys, that was their keys. They all batched them up, put them right there on the counter, and then just let everybody come. I just feel like, I don't know what's going to end up coming of the situation, but I bet it's not going to be really good, So anyways, that's what happened. The whole entire staff walked out. So now again, like I said, completely invested. I'm like, oh, that's horrible. And here we are, we're having this conversation. And next thing you know, I'm being more or less interviewed for a supervisor position. Like, the job could be mine if I wanted it to be. And so that's where we're at. It's just like, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. And then she's like, you know what? Come tomorrow, I'll interview you. I would hire you, grab an application on the way out. So here I was, like, I was in like Flynn. I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to do that. I felt so bad. Like, I had made myself a part of the team. I felt like I was a part of the team. And so here I was just like, yep. And I was given all my prerequisites. I was saying, yeah, I used to be a business owner and a manager. Yep. And so I'm on a high, like I'm on a complete total rush here. Like, I left there like, you know what? I'm part of the team. I get home, I sit down in the chair, I start to decompress, and I'm just like feeling really good about it. Like, yeah, I think I could give this job at least a good 15 years. I'm mapping it all out. And then the high ends, right? Then all of a sudden I'm just like, whew, I'm pooped. It's only been an hour and a half and I didn't even put in an 8-hour day there. So I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from just like the hour and a half debacle that we experienced. I'm starting to have flashbacks of like all of those orders coming in on the counter, on the floor, all of this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know that I want to be the supervisor. Like, it's my favorite place in the whole entire world, but I don't think I want to work there 40 hours a week. I'm like, Ellen, what did you get yourself into? I got my mouth going. I got caught up in the moment, like you do. It was like one of those things. I don't think it's like necessarily Stockholm syndrome. I know that's different, but it kind of was, because I was like empathizing and I was feeling compassion and I was feeling like I was a part of the team and like the solution. So here you go. I'm like leaving, like I'm already in my head picking like my staff. I'm like, Jamie, you're going to have to get back to Casper because we got work to do. And I get home and I start like really reeling, and I'm just like, the high's wearing off. I'm exhausted. I'm like, I'm going to go work the 40 hours a week at this establishment and do 15 years. They deserve better. I don't, it's not in my heart. It's not my heart. I got other things. God's got other plans for me. And I really felt like instantly, no, and this is not a joke, that, God was just kind of like, keep your mouth shut next time. I'm sure it was a lot sweeter than that. I'm going to go with it was. But that's how I felt. It was just like, keep your mouth shut next time, Helen. Like, yes, it was a kind thing. It was a great gesture. But the next time, if you are ever encountered with something like that, don't put yourself out there too. I mean, if you can really be a part of the solution, awesome. And if you can help, that's great. But the fact that I was leaving and I was going to be a supervisor and like I was hiring a staff and all this crazy stuff, it was just like, I feel like God was just like, almost just like, just keep your mouth shut. So anyways, that's what happened last week. I'm really glad though that God brought, like I said, us in there, like the team of people that were in there together, because like I said, it could have been anybody and they could have ransacked that place, okay? They could have made themselves up big batches of food and drinks and taken money, you name it, they could have done it. And so I feel like it was a blessing in itself, just the people that were in there together, waiting for the crew to show up. But anyways, guys, that's my story. If you have anything similar to that that's ever happened, throw it in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to Health and Hope with Helen. I would really appreciate it. God bless. Bye.